What's up, my Fina loves? It's Miss Fina D coming to you all from the Entertainment News. So there's a clip from the new series, The Braxtons, and Tamar Braxton is having a conversation with her mother and her sisters, excluding Tony. And they're at the table, they're eating, they're talking, and Tamar said that she was the last person to know about Traci being sick. She said how she found out was by mistake. And basically, at one point, her mother was with her, and her mother started weeping. And she was like, why is mom so upset? Why is mom crying? Why is mom weeping? She called her sisters, and no one could tell her why. Her mom couldn't tell her why. And she said that when they were all together, and the hospice doctor came in and started explaining how Traci was going into hospice and she only had 2 weeks to live and things like that. Tamar said that's when she found out. And so she's talking, and the whole time Tawana is completely quiet. Trina is quiet. And, her mom said, well, Traci did not want us to tell you, and we had to respect Traci wishes. I'm sorry, Tamar, but that's what she wanted, and I wasn't about to go against what Traci wanted. Tamar goes, well, the rest of the sisters knew, and I'm just summarizing, okay? Well, the rest of, the sisters and family, knew. What about me? Her mom said, nah, Tony did not know. And Tamar said, no, Tony knew, okay? And so Trina responded, well, you and Traci were on the outs. And Tamar responded, we were? No, we weren't. And it was just, silence from there. And the clip ended. Do not forget to watch the new episode of The Braxtons tonight if you are someone who support them and all of that, okay? I want to play this clip real quick from Traci's husband.
And pouring down rain, wait for that. And the doctor called me, and I was able to pull up to the front and go inside. And he explained everything to me, and then we went to Georgetown Hospital. And from there, Traci didn't want to call anybody. And I made the calls because I told her that the family had to know because she needed that support. So that's how the ball started rolling.
And if you missed that video, I have linked it in the description below to hear the rest of what he had to say. So right there, Traci's husband said that Traci did not even want to let anyone know. And he had to pick up the phone and call the family because he knew she needed her family and needed support at that time. Also, before I read these comments, let me just give my opinion real quick. I was going to wait till after the comments, but let me say this real quick. Now, I am aware that being upset with someone you were once friends with and blasting them on social media, or being upset with an ex and blasting them on social media is not the same as keeping your sibling private medical condition, situation, diagnosis, whatever you want to call it. I get it, it's a huge difference. But Tamar runs the social media with everything. If Tamar feels triggered, feels upset, the list goes on and on, she's on social media about it. The same way how she tweeted, my family is awful, okay? Your family is awful. Talk to your friends about it. Vent to your therapist, someone else. And that's not me being insensitive. That's just me stating that, okay, if your family is awful, so you feel like they're not hearing you, you're not getting through to them, so you can't talk to them and break that wall of the misunderstanding, then vent to people behind the scenes and people you know. That's one possibility. Even though, like I said, there's no comparison to coming online and talking about someone's medical issues. Her family is awful, and that she tweeted. So imagine if that same family did or said something in the midst of all of that to trigger her. Maybe the fear was she might expose this even though it's not the time yet. I'm not saying that Tamar will do something that low. I'm just thinking about all of the different possibilities that we will never know. Why Traci chose to not tell her sister earlier into her diagnosis. Another thing is, even if Tamar would never go that low as it relates to her family, there are people around her and friends and things like that that she could have confided in, and then that person went and leaked that information to the media. That's also another possibility. Another reason could be, yeah, even though Traci and the other sisters had issues, it looked like she had the most with Tamar. So that could also be another reason. Not excusing that behavior, because regardless of everything that's going on, that is still your sister. And it wasn't fair to keep that away from her because she felt cheated as it relates to the last days and moments she was able to share with her sister. Okay? So that's the second thing. And maybe it could be, okay, if I'm your sister and we are good and we are not on the outs, you should be here spending time with me regardless, not just drop everything and rush by my side because now you find out that I'm no longer going to be here. But regardless, like I said, there comes a time you put all of that away, that is still your sister, you are still family, let her know. So I understand on that level. The other level could be Tamar's been very open about her mental health, anxiety, and all of that. And maybe Traci just felt like, I don't want to put Tamar through that right now. Regardless of the reason, I completely understand Tamar hurt and her reaction because she felt like I could have had more time with my sister and you all deprived me from that. So I do understand her pain, her anger, and all of that. And even though I understand respecting Traci's wishes, Tamar's feelings are valid. Okay, so let's get into some of social media reaction. People have selective memory because I know I'm not the only one that remember how Tamar used to dog Traci out. Even made fun of Traci on Twitter when Traci was excited about dropping her own album and expressing her goal of winning a Grammy. Stop playing, girl. More than once, Traci threatened to mollywop you on the show. You were a mean girl to her and she called you out frequently. Response to this person: what's your point? That was still her sister. None of that petty stuff matters. Like I said, my point is, don't act like you don't know why you weren't initially included. There was bad blood, and clearly Traci chose to keep those she had positive relationships with around her in the beginning. Another response: exactly. She was not good to her in her healthy days. Why would she want her around when she was fighting for her life? Tamar is the only one I saw her threaten to fight. More than once at that. She had to be physically restrained at the restaurant in the last season and still lean across a whole table to get in Tamar's face. She didn't play with any of them, true enough, but it was much worse with Tamar. I'm not saying it's right and it's sad, but people also can't act like they don't know why distance was there. Exactly what I said. Tamar's feelings completely 100% valid. However, I completely understand Traci's decision, and I also completely understand the family respecting Traci's wishes. Y'all say still her sister. Don't mean Traci is required to have her in her life. I'll cut anyone off if they are toxic. She's making this about her, and it's not. It's about respecting Traci's wishes. Exactly. We need to grow up because I'm giving my opinion on what we saw play out. I'm not making this up out of nowhere. LOL. Y'all get so high and mighty like people are wrong for acknowledging the elephant in the room. This is life. People handle stuff how they choose to. That was her sister's choice. I can't judge somebody for how they handle their battles. And basically, if your sister, Traci saying, not to tell, then, why are you being mad at Tawana, Trina, and their mom? They were respecting her wishes. It's like, I get it. Traci is no longer here with us. May her soul rest in peace. So it makes no sense being upset with Traci, who went through a lot, and she's no longer here with us. So who can we redirect our anger to? Yep, let's go ahead and bully and drag and be nasty and mean to Wanda and Trina and the mom when all they did was respect Traci wishes. It's the same thing that's going on the show. I'm not saying they are saints. Absolutely not. They have their ways. But on the show, they are also upset that Traci did not want certain things to happen, and then other people went against her wishes. And that's just it. You can see it right here that Traci was obviously closer to her other sisters, to Wanda and Trina, and that's why they were aware. So all of the people in the comments, Traci called you a snake to Wanda. Traci didn't like you. As you can see, she and Traci reconciled, and they were close enough for her to be aware and there for her sister before Tamar. However, Tamar's feelings are still valid because when your sibling is losing their life, this is not the time to be like, well, she liked me more than you. See, I knew. No, that's petty. So I completely understand Tamar being upset. I'm going to read a few more comments and then end it. Another comment, exactly. Let's not act like that didn't play a part. Tamar and Traci were the more distant, and Tamar has a nasty attitude and makes everything about her. I would have told her last too. Ouch. I said something similar. Stepping away from, okay, Traci said this. Traci had drama with this person. Traci calls you a snake, and all of these different things. Here's another perspective. Like I said, Tamar has publicly expressed her challenges with mental health. Traci now wanting her to know initially was probably to protect her and came from a place of not knowing the right time to tell her because she didn't know how she would deal with that. But at the end of the day, it was Traci's right and they honor her wishes. Another comment for those with misplaced anger. I'm not trying to argue, but what did they do purposely? Traci asked them not to tell her. Trina just said they were on the outs. They wanted to respect Traci's wishes the same way they did when she passed. Are they wrong for that? Exactly. Because of her childish behavior and the antics at her big age of 47. No, she makes everything about herself and how she feels. She would have did the same thing with this situation. It should be a crime to make everything about you. No, for real. Tamar needs to reflect on why Traci didn't want her to know initially instead of making it about her. Obviously, the relationship was damaged, and sister or not, the family respected Traci's wishes, as they did when she passed. I mean, Tamar did try to take her own life, so that could have been the reason and not put stress on her. Exactly, and she is the youngest. She has extreme anxiety. So you also have people leaning towards it's not about drama or Traci holding on to drama in her last days. Maybe Traci just wanted to protect Tamar. I also think the reason why people are coming for the other sisters, to Wanda and Trina, is not because of misplaced anger 100%. Like I said earlier, sometimes it could be the public thinking, instead of just saying, okay, Traci, we respect your wishes. If the sisters and their mother had all come together and say, Traci, we understand what happened, but look around. Tawanda is here, and you and Tawanda had issues. Trina is here. Tony is here. Why not Tamar? They feel like the sisters could have possibly convinced Traci to tell Tamar earlier. They feel like because the sisters don't like Tamar as well, so their feelings contributed to Traci's decision. But this is all based on assumptions. Because if we are going by assumptions, the only comment I have seen constantly is Traci called Tawanda a snake. So going by that logic, then Tawanda should be sitting right in Tamar's position. Right there where Traci didn't tell me. Tawanda wasn't in that position because it's clear they had a moment of reconciliation and everything went back to normal. She said it. Even Tawanda's fiance said, yes, Traci was upset. She made some comments, but Traci and I talked and we've been close ever since. He's been in their lives for 30 plus years, wrote on some of their records. He's a producer and all of that. So when people assume and say, where did this man come from? He's probably broke. He's this and he's that. All of those assumptions is the reason why I'm saying, how do we know that they did not try to talk to their sister behind the scenes? So I'm not saying don't have your opinion, don't leave comments, because they are putting their business out there. But before you completely crucify these people, take into consideration the possibility of them trying behind the scenes, but the decision was ultimately Traci's. Family fight, they have disagreements, but they talk about it and they move on. So to hold on to something that happened 150 years ago on the show and not think for a second, you know what? They reconciled. Everything was good during her last days. To hold on to the name calling and all of that when they already resolved their issues behind the scenes. However, it still wasn't cool to do Tamar like that. But whatever Traci reasons were, I completely respected and I understand. And if you've noticed, I've been leaving the rest of the comments on the screen for you all to read it yourself, because I'm not trying to be here for 30 minutes trying to read every single comment. But I'm going to read this last one and end it. If Traci didn't want her to know, then what can anyone say? That's why make this so tough and heartbreaking at the same time. At some point, Tamar needs to look in the mirror and take some accountability. If your own sisters aren't keeping you in the loop about one's illness, there's a reason behind it. And lastly, this person wrote, nope, I would not have shown up at all. If he didn't want me to know and no other sister told me, I would have kept it 100 and respected her wishes. Basically, when Tamar eventually found out she was there and all of that, but this person is saying, nope, I would have been petty and stood on business and not show up. But that's the difference. This is life and death. This is your sister. This is your blood. You put all of that mess and being petty aside and be there for your sister. I just recently watched the episode where it was both Tamar and Traci's birthday, and they sang happy birthday to Tamar, and Tamar was so mad that someone said happy birthday to Traci. Like, girl, you are too mean and the attitude is too nasty. Stop playing victim. That's what she should have did. Okay, and like I said, we get it. We saw the show. We understand everything that happened, but this is a family, and all I can say at the end is I pray for healing and I wish them the best, because they definitely need it. I mean, just think about it. Your sister got that type of news. She knows that she has limited time, and regardless of protecting you from whatever, to still not let you know, and you finding out by mistake, I completely understand Tamar anger, her hurt, and her pain. And so I wish the entire family, like I said earlier, healing. Oh, and one last thing. The example I made about people making the assumption that the sisters did not talk to Traci, hoping Traci would have changed her mind to tell Tamar earlier, because they too do not like Tamar. And so when Traci made a decision, they all agree. That's an assumption, and the same assumption that people are making towards Lil Kevin Jr., who's almost 30, a grown man with his own family that is grown enough to make his own decision as it relates to his relationship with his dad. So when people say, oh, because his aunties have issues with his dad, or why can't they talk to him to mend it and maybe he can have a relationship? He's a grown man, and at the end of the day, no amount of conversation can make him do what he doesn't want to do. The same way how they couldn't convince his mom to change her mind about letting Tamar know earlier, and all they could have done was respect her wishes. So hold the grown people accountable and stop dragging and blaming the sisters for everything. Yes, he's their nephew, but he's also a grown man who's almost 30, who can make his own decision. And if you've been keeping up with the Instagram live, he did say in one of those Instagram lives that he and his father now have a decent relationship and they're doing good. So that's good to hear. And finally, for real this time, there you have it. I'm wishing all of you well and take care.
My loves, thank you all for your love and support. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up. Also, turn on notifications so when I do post, you're aware that I posted. And I will see you all in the comment section. Remember to always have the God bless attitude, which is being positive at all times and seeing the good in every situation. Have a great day, guys. God bless.